How you going, guys? Welcome back to Fat Fords. As you can see in the intro in this episode, we take a gas axe to the front of the Falcon and chop it up. So if you want to come around here and have a look, I'll show you what we've been up to. Basically cleaned out the engine bay of everything that we're not going to be using. Shock tower's gone, inner guard's gone, and we've basically taken away all the front suspension mounts and cross member and tie rod mounts and all the rest of that stuff. So we've basically got down to the nitty gritty, to the point where we've cleaned the chassis rails, and I've welded in the Mustang chassis rail into the Falcon chassis rail. There's a bit of square stock in there to take up the space, and then a full weld on either side. And then that's going to be covered. So that's not how it finishes up. That's just basically to tie it in and give it the strength. Actually, another thing I was going to point out, if you come around here, just want to give a bit of a shout out to Graham, XA Coupe guy, or Graham's Restorations. Came up with a top idea. I was worried about the battery. Originally the battery in the Mustangs was over here in the corner. And it looked ugly, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, and I was thinking about relocating the battery to the boot. Graham came up with a brilliant idea of using one of those modern lithium ion batteries that they use in the race cars. So yeah, it's going to be like half the size of a normal battery, probably even less. It'll be real light. So I'll basically be able to locate it somewhere over in this corner. And yeah, basically not going to worry about it until we get our frames in. So what I'm going to do here is we're having 50mm RHS. It's going to come up in the shape of a shock tower directly off the chassis rails, and it's going to sort of like turn in and then come across underneath. Well, actually this is where the original ID is, and I'm not allowed to touch that, so that's the VIN plate, so that stays there. It's going to come up, go underneath them, and then it's going to come out to the side, and then RHS back to the A pillar, and then it's going to be triangulated with a brace down there. And I'm actually not going to hide it. I'm actually going to have it so that I'll probably try to reuse the original inner guard in this part, and because it's coming directly off the chassis rail, that shape is going to be exposed, but it's not going to look like RHS. It's just, by the time it's all finished and it's enclosed, it'll have a skin over the front of it, so it'll come along, it'll step out, have the shape of a shock tower and go back down, but it'll be flat on the surface, so it's not going to protrude into the engine bay more than 50mm. And the reason I did that is because I really hate the look of a flat-sided engine bay, so this is just going to give it something reminiscent of a shock tower. It's going to put some shape in it, basically. So yeah, so that's that. And what else? Well, basically what we're ready for now that these are all done, I can't do the bottoms until the car's actually upside down. So what I've got to get it to a point of, I've got to get it to a point where it can go on a rotisserie. That's why I need to get the RHS, the bracing in, and I'm going to get the top skin of the chassis rail on, and I'm going to get the side skin of the chassis rail on. Just to sort of reiterate on things I've said before, but just in case you're not quite up to speed with what we're doing, I'm going to box the chassis rails. So the chassis rails are going to be boxed on all four sides with 3mm plate, and they're basically going to be plug welded to the side of the chassis rail, and then they're going to have a fillet weld along all four edges, and then that'll be plenished so you won't even know it's there. And that's going to be giving strength to the chassis rail for the new front end, the new front suspension. Also what it's doing is it's going to be encasing the two chassis rails from the Mustang floor pan and the Falcon chassis rail. It's going to be basically encasing them together in such a way that, again, you're not going to know that it's there. It's just going to look like it's one smooth rail. So if you come over here, I'll show you where we're up to on that. So this is the side of the chassis rail. It's all cut out. There's going to be a slight fold put in there, so that there's a 15mm step, but it's going to be sort of on a slight angle, so it's going to look, quite nice. And then we've got the tops. That's the top of the chassis rail with a slight return, which is going to go back under the firewall, and then we're going to plug weld through the firewall. So yeah, so those are the two sides that I'm going to be welding on while the car's in this position, and then the rest is going to have to be done when the car's actually upside down. So right at the moment, I got a slight problem in that without using heat, I can't actually bend this. I don't have anything thick enough here to bend this because it's 3mm. So what I might do, because again I don't want to really use heat strong enough where I'm actually heating this up red hot. I could probably do it and probably wouldn't be a problem, but I think it's probably not really, you know, looked upon nicely if I do that. I want to actually fold it cold. So what we'll do is we'll take this down to my mate down at Metal and Processing and see if he can't help us with it. So let's go off and see Des and see if he can fix it. So while we're driving over to Metal and Processing, we'll let you watch the time lapse of how this front end was taken apart.
You can never go back, struggle to survive, and you're still alive. Carry on. Even if you've been misled, and all of your dreams are dead. Carry on. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regrets.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Alright guys, here we are at Metal and Processing, and we just come down to see my mate Des here and see if he can give us a hand to fold this plate here. So, how you going, Des? So, this is this plate, this is the side of a chassis rail, and it goes like that.
So 21 degrees, sir.
Right.
Folding 21 degrees.
Alright, it's pretty noisy in here, but we're just here with Bones, and Bones is going to give us a hand to fold this chassis rail. So, just getting pressing that ready.
Alright guys, we're about to press the piece up for what is it, chassis rail?
Yeah.
Just running the dimensions, getting everything correct. We'll do a test piece, make sure we're 21 degrees.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Now I'm picking the tooling, picking the die.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Okay, there's your first kick.
Oh yeah?
Pretty much right on the inside of your line there.
Yep.
Now this is where you want your 15mm in here.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a little hit there. I'll bring that down. And you'll have it.
It's good. Here we go. So that's gonna go. Oh yeah, it's like that. Yeah. So that's the passenger side inside chassis rail, all folded up and ready to go. So we'll take it back to the workshop and see how she fits, and then we'll do the driver's side. So very good. Okay, so we're back here at the workshop, and we've got both these chassis rails ready to go, all nicely folded. I think they look great. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them on, and we're going to mark out where I need to get some holes drilled for the plug welds, because we're going to have plug welds along the side of them to pretty much, well, you know, to add strength, but also to hold them in place when we do the fillet welds. So let's go ahead and fit them up and see how they look. Okay, we've got these chassis rails clamped in place now, and as you can see, these yellow dots here, they're going to represent where we're going to be drilling holes for the plug welds. So it all fits pretty good. The reason there's a fairly wide gap here between the two plates is so that when I do the fillet weld along here, it not only welds these two plates together, but it actually fuses with the chassis rail underneath. That's the purpose of exposing that chassis rail in the corner there. So it is going to be a fairly big weld. And yeah, it's going to be rounded over, and then of course once it's done I'll plenish it so that it doesn't even look like it is welded. It'll just be like an original chassis rail, which just has like a nice radius to it. So yeah, let's go ahead and take them off and we'll get them drilled. Okay, so I've got our chassis plates plug welded into position. You can see that they fit quite nicely. Go right underneath the floor pan. And you can see the original chassis in the copper coat. So it's all ready to have a nice big fillet weld put right along it. And what that'll do is just fuse everything together and make it one. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to weld that up, and then I'm going to plenish that and plenish all the plug welds, make it all smooth, and I'll come back to you then. Okay, well that's done. Got them welded in, and it didn't really take too long. Put a nice fillet weld along the top on both sides, and then went over it with the sander and plenished it, and I think it's looking pretty good. Got a nice sort of radius on the edge there, so it's looking good. So I can't do the other two sides like I mentioned before because it'd just be too awkward trying to do it upside down. So my main aim now is to get this box section made up, as I was mentioning before. Get that made up to come up here where the shock towers used to be, and then braced back to the A-pillar so that the car has enough strength to put on the rotisserie. At the moment I wouldn't really want to risk putting it on the rotisserie just because it's got sort of no sort of support back to the A-pillar. So probably be working on that, and we'll catch that in the next video. So hope you enjoyed this one, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.